This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
It's Enduro Round in the simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, and what better place for the endurance racing than the big, bad Mount Panorama circuit, Bathurst itself, every Australian's favourite track, and also for many other sim racers and racers around the world. What a historic circuit, what an awesome and challenging track it is. And it is going to be a delight for our two enduro races coming up. First up, Pass 2, and then the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series headlining. So qualifying right now for Pass 2, as they are then going to get ready for their 40-minute race. It's David Haynes, joined by Nick Skrayev here. Nick, what an awesome track. We love it to bits. In these GT3 cars, it's mighty quick and challenging.
Absolutely, Dave. So we are going to head over from North America here to Australia for our track map. It surely cannot be Bathurst. You can't do 1 or 2 laps around Bathurst. It always has to be some kind of mini enduro to really kind of get the feel for it. So we are zooming in here on New South Wales, a little bit north of Sydney, quite inland. Can reach there by a train still. So that's how big of a regional town Bathurst is. Could almost mesmerise the track there by mind. It's just driven on that often. You can see it from the satellite photography. All 23 corners right down to Marrow's Corner. And of course, the big passing options are through the Chase, Marrow's Corner and Hell Corner.
Yeah, absolutely. These GT3 cars are going to get a pretty decent slipstream down Conrod Straight. Also up the Mountain Straight as well. You see some passing happening there and a real challenge across the top of the circuit. A lot of downforce, a lot of grip, doing everything you can to flow as much speed as possible between the cutting skyline and the elbow. 6.2 kilometers. It's pretty solid. Let's look at those championship standings then as we get ready to gear up for Pass 2. Jake Jackson leads the way. It was Oberstella who led us before last round, and his racing did not go quite to plan. Jake Jackson launches to the front, ahead of Joshua Robertson, Aaron Oberstella, Benjamin Johnson, our winner at Indianapolis last week. Hilton Booth, Ben Pollock, David Baz, Braden Sagasar, Matt Hardigan, and John Nikolaev. Now, of course, the Indianapolis road course is a little shorter and a lot flatter than here at Mount Panorama Circuit. But nonetheless, the balance of performance rolls on round to round, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are seeing the Audi R8 getting a slight haircut again. The GT3, BMW M4 and the Ferrari I think the Ferrari has been at least 2 or 3 weeks in a row getting just a little bit extra. So are seeing a little bit of a balance out. The Audi also being such a popular car here in this series, in particular for the GT3. So nice spread. Might even see a Lamborghini or two.
So how's qualifying going? Well, it's almost wrapped up and Joshua Robertson has the fastest time. The checkered flag is about to drop. So all of these drivers on their laps right now, attempting to improve in a pretty short qualifying session. Checker is out. This is your last chance for glory and your last chance for starting towards the pointy end of the grid. Who's tracking well? As we watch Aaron Obersteller. This lap's been going reasonably well for him. Definitely looks like it's going to be an improvement on his current time of a 2-minute 4.5. Pole is a 3.8, so he's still 0.8 or so away from that. Working through the final corner. Got to be careful not to get too much of the curb. And then line comes up quickly. Solid improvement from Obersteller, and it's going to move him up to third, the second row of the grid. So that final lap coming in clutch for him.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd have to say, even though the championship for Obersteller has not been going his way, surely it would be great to get back out on top, in particular at Bathurst. I think it's almost, if anyone wants to win a race this series, have to be this mini enduro there. Hayden Jackson there, I think, just set a null and void Joshua Robertson into the wall, so that is his run done. We'll have to see what other cars there are out on track. Paul Longworth coming down through the chase, such a fast part of the circuit there. So
him and Simon Dwyer are going to be some of the last cars to the line, and they're currently the bottom 2 cars in qualifying as well. No time yet, so both of them have got to make this one count. Got to keep it within those track limits. Bit of a wobble for Longworth in the Ferrari. Dwyer behind him definitely looked like he got a good slipstream and ran well through that final corner. But I'm not sure that one counted for Longworth. It definitely did for Dwyer, and he jumped up some spots.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's going to be our field wrapped up. I'll let us go through that starting grid.
So for the 40-minute enduro round of Pass 2, this is how they are going to line up. It's Robertson on the pole. From championship points leader, Jake Jackson. Aaron Obersteller in third there, definitely starting a little better, closer to where he would want. John Gagliardi, Braden Sagasar, and Ian Jordan, the first 3 rows off the start. Ben Pollock, Benjamin Johnson, Jamie Blackman, and Ashley DeVries, and then Hamish Munro and Thomas LePrake. It's about the top half of our field there, Nick, 25 cars.
Yeah, absolutely. So will be tricky trying to get all those around the track for that first lap. Nick Botchell there on row 7, Patrick Panton, Hayden Jackson, Graham Filand, Sam Batty, and David Baz. Sam, quite a long way down the back. Would normally see him up around that top 5 mark. We've got Reese Ashmore, Tom Brown, Simon Dwyer, Adam Hill Motion, and then Ken O'Hara. So nice and tight through that field, most around that 2-minute 5 mark.
Yeah, Paul Longworth, the only driver I think we're going to see grid up who didn't have a qualifying time and didn't feature on that graphic, but he'll probably be right up the tail of it. It's going to be a rolling start. It's going to be the truncated formation lap as well, so I feel they're getting ready just before the chase. That's one of the places there definitely could be some action in this one. How many pit stops this race is going to be, it's definitely questionable. I suspect it's going to be 2, but we always see around a track like this that there is plenty of room to fuel save, plenty of room to strategize.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that that big vertical elevation going up and down the mountain, can really roll off that throttle, especially if you're in that slipstream. So it's not always easy being that first car in the line and at the front of the pack.
So we wait.
Still just waiting. I think about 50 seconds or so.
Yeah, cars were missing from the grid at the moment. It was Braden Sagasar. He's popped on. Aaron Obersteller, Hayden Jackson. the two cars we're waiting on. Oberstella might be leaving this one just to the last minute. Everyone else on the grid is idling and just burning a little bit of fuel. Is there some strategy to this? Jackson appears back there, and here's Oberstella. So we've got our grid. They're behind the pace car. Just going to roll through the chase under the bridge. Pace car will pull in. And how's Joshua Robertson going to control this one from pole?
There we go. It's always good having that rolling start. I suppose with the GT3, it's a bit tricky trying to get cleanly from that standing start. It kind of pulls that field out a little bit more, so we don't have all 25 cars running straight into Hell Corner, but I'm sure could see a little bit of carnage.
You would start to bet on it. Oh, it's already happened. David Baz, what's happening back there? A little bit of drama on the formation lap before we even get going. And that tail of the field is going to try to catch up. Robertson still holding him through the final corner. Squares it at the apex and then waits 1 second, catches him wrong-footed, and we're racing for 40 minutes for Pass 2 in the Simrix.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series. Big lead for Robertson. Your points leader, Jake Jackson, tidily through as well. Your winner from last time out, Benjamin Johnson, not making any positions initially, but you'd get a little bit of clear track. They start to fan out just a little bit. Then immediately, it's into the slipstream, into the draft, up the hill on Mountain Straight, looking for the first big braking zone of the lap here at Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, you've also got that, actually just hearing that potentially might be a penalty for going just before that green, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, see how that comes through. We did see that Ashley DeVries hanging it right out offline there, but you can see they're all tucked all back in single file. There's not really many two options as you come over the top of the mountain for the first time around.
Big mover so far, Patrick Panton is up 3 spots. So some movement in the middle of the field, even though up front they ran as they qualified, diving over Skyline for the first time. GT cars handling the curbs beautifully.
Yeah, it always seems to be through this part of the circuit is always tricky. If you've got a spin, it's very, very hard to pull up and then kind of see what's ahead, but it looks to be, for the most part, everyone through nice and cleanly through Forest Elbow onto the straight for the first time.
So we're on board with Vincent, looking backwards at Jamie Blackman and Hamish Munro. There's a bit going on there. And the bit going on is that they're going to be side by side on their way into the chase. Munro not able to brake, but did the Ferrari get in a little too hot, a little too far? Well, Jamie Blackman managed to make the corner and he almost then parks it again on the exit. Really close stuff between the Ferrari and the BMW.
Yeah, it was very, very wise just of Hamish Munro. Was right on that rear bumper up on the inside, but choosing to back out at the last minute. So just getting everyone just trying to find that groove there at the moment. So we do have 40 minutes to go. Should be around 20 laps or so.
Gagliardi in the BMW in the slipstream of the Mercedes of Oberstella. So leader still with a little bit of time. It's all about here, second and third and fourth. That Porsche not getting up the mountain especially quickly, but across the top, I fancy it's probably one of the cars to have, and that's one of the interesting effects of the balance of performance adjusting the power based on success, is a car can win a bit, lose some of that horsepower relative to those around it, but still be workable in race conditions based on its fuel economy, based on its tyre management, and based on its cornering speed and confidence in places like this. I wager that's where the Porsche is strong, but it's not strong for Benjamin Johnson. Oh, he's in such an awkward place. Oh dear. Oh dear, you felt that was inevitable. He's had a big contact with the wall, spun back onto the circuit, and it's still going on.
Yeah, looks to be, well, we see a few cars quite damaged are still managing to circulate around that car. I was going to say the car 13, the car with the number 13 on it. We are going to cut here to a VRS replay.
So here's what happens for Benjamin Johnson.
Bit of a slide there, but not enough to come unstuck. And oh, Mass, what a tank slapper!
Really Garth-handed it there. Oh.
Oh, and actually that crash also happened slightly up ahead. I think the cars that did miss him coming back onto that racing line, and unfortunately crossed up and did clear pretty quickly.
I think you're going to find one car slowed up the incident a little more than another. Okay. They split either side, and then as they come back, one of them's a little wobbly. A lot of damaged cars from that. This is one of them. And some of this has happened a little later as well, because Reece Ashmore behind's just had a separate incident at the chase. So a tidy first lap, and it's all kicked off on lap number 2. Someone's spinning out on entry there, and it continues here that Jake Jackson has a pile of cars not yet able to get around him. Look how close they were to him coming into turn number 2. And then by the time you get to Skyline, he's walking car lengths on the Mercedes, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just see them stretch out there as well. So it's quite a good spot to be, even a little bit further up the road there for Joshua Robertson. So he's almost about 2.5 seconds adrift. Oh, could see an attack here coming down, or jump back into single file, but great battling here through this mid-pack. It's a real classic style endurance racing we're seeing.
Kind of crazy, all these cars are still in the order that they qualified. How much can Oberstella try to pull on Jake Jackson down the straight here? The answer is he's got 5-6 kilometers an hour more already right now, but does he get close enough as they break into the chase? Use that little extra bit of paved road. Oberstella's going to have a look, and he's going to shove the nose down the inside. His nose in front for second place. Perfectly executed move. Great awareness of where his car was, where the other car was, and he moves up into second.
We're just seeing that. Is that Sagasa there? Or car number 17, sorry, John Gagliardi there. So choosing to go for that potential undercut. So saw the risks there being in that, I think about a 7-car train there. So just choosing to pull out of it.
Ashley DeVries in 7th in the Mercedes behind Ben Pollock's BMW. Going up the hill and just weaving a little bit, maybe trying to break that slipstream is Ben Pollock, or is he just trying to follow the car in front? They're not far away at all from that second place group. So they're going to be trying to stay in touch with that. You can see them on the incline, on the uphill towards the cutting. Constantina effect, a little bumper to bumper action for Oberstella, Jake Jackson and Braden Sagasar, and look how close they all are over the rear of Jake Jackson.
You can see just this elevation change here. So many of these corners are just them coming up over Skyline. It's almost completely blind as they come through. Oh, you just see the slightly difference in lines there, and just how narrow that section of the circuit is. All back down to single file. It's all really going to, you'd have to say there, it's all really going to be down to that pit strategy. Who can kind of roll off, shorten that pit window, and even if you can get that slight jump ahead in the pit lane, make it very, very difficult for your competitor to get around back out of the circuit.
We've typically seen the starting fuel for everyone fall just short of 10 minutes. But it's a big lap around here. They're 8 minutes into this race already. So if anyone can go longer than this lap, they've done very well in this opening phase. There's definitely some drivers well positioned to have maybe saved quite aggressively early on. We're about to find out. What is the leader Joshua Robertson doing? What is most of the field doing? They're staying out.
Yeah, absolutely. So they feel
it makes that pit stop we saw from Gagliardi very early, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So he was over 2 laps early, so whether or not we'll have to see how he comes around, see if he's even lapping a little bit later. So being on that train, I guess that you're jumping on that on the brakes a little bit earlier, hitting that draft. So Gagliardi doing it. Yeah, absolutely. So he's out there doing solo, possibly even maybe taking tyres.
We didn't see that become a major factor for example, the 40-minute race at Indianapolis last week in AusPass. So I'm not sure in this 40-minute race it's going to be of great effect. Track temperature is 28, which isn't freezing, but you could definitely get a lot hotter than that at Bathurst.
See these two hill motion there right on the back of O'Hara here, so surely been able to work that strategy a little bit. And as you were saying before, this would have to be, if not most of the field, at least maybe the top 10 or 11 coming into the pits this time around.
Here is that leading group. Robertson now leads them handily though, so Obersteller and Jackson haven't been able to manage quite the same pace. Jackson's going to slip back one here to Sagasar as the Audi goes through on the brakes in towards the chase. Looking at your leader, looking at pit entry. Well, he's not, but we are. The rest of the field took a little out of him though. In that final sector, so I wonder if he's really stretching it, because there are more cars looking at pit lane, like Sagasar, Jordan Pollock, De Vries, Leclerc. It's starting to look like everyone except Robertson, Obersteller, and Jackson. You see those three climbing up Mountain Straight for one more lap in this race.
Yeah, maybe even seeing how busy it gets out in pit lane as well might have been the rationale for Gagliardi there. You can actually see didn't seem to prove too much of an advantage there for Gagliardi, because even the likes there of Jamie Blackman, who also pitted on the same lap, is out in front. So
Obersteller's pulling big time out of Robertson though. I think Obersteller might have saved a bit harder earlier. He's able to push a little more on this lap. The lead is absolutely dissolving quickly for Robertson. Obersteller just apparently able to push harder on this in-lap. We saw Robertson built out that sort of 5-6 second lead, and he might have been pushing just a little more flat chat than everyone that we saw second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, playing it a little more tactical. They started this lap with a 5-second gap. Now it's 3. I reckon you get over the crest of the hill here, and Robertson's going to start losing that time again as he coasts down into the braking zone at the chase.
yeah, even just looking that gap back to the start of our pitters there. So Sagas is about 36 seconds adrift of these two up the front. So we'll see just how much he pulls that back in. Definitely not being able to go another lap. Just see some tyre marks there on the grass. So might have seen a few cars overshoot that pit lane entry.
Yep. So everyone else onto the lane here. Here is Sagasar. He is the leading car that's already made their stop. So those guys on the lane are trying to get in and race out ahead of Sagasar. Just finding their crews at this moment. So it is going to be close. See the very last remaining cars there. Tom Brown, Paul Longworth. Everyone's been through the lane once now. Robertson, Sagasar, Jackson away from their crews. There's Robertson. There's Sagasar at speed, going to dip into the slipstream, and I think he might just be able to take this one away. If he wants to, is the question.
Yeah, Absolutely, you'd have to say Sagasar there not only has the draft, but a little bit more momentum. Or just choosing to back out of it. That is actually going to slow these two up. So I dare say this is going to bring Jake Jackson right into the mix. Obersteller too, not too far away. So I reckon this two-car battle here for the lead is going to end up... Oh, even Joshua Robertson, even with a little bit of a slide coming out.
Looking at your leaders, 3 different makes in your top 3. The Mercedes still leading. The Audi maybe coming on strong later in the race like we saw last week. And Jake Jackson didn't appear to have crazy speed earlier on, but we know that Porsche can be very fuel efficient on the longer runs.
Such a great camera shot there coming out through Forest Elbow, and just hear him absolutely nail it all the way up to, I think it was Sagasar there in the Audi. They seem to all be around about that 280 km/h mark. So just as they come through here, through the kink, hard on the brakes, so they bring it all the way down to about 115, 120 k's an hour.
Fastest speed trap speed belongs to Ben Pollock's BMW in 5th place, and he's leading a little bit of a train just back there in the back of shot as well. Interesting thing with the balance of performance is it doesn't attempt to balance single lap speed, it attempts to balance race results. So it's very common that one car that doesn't look strong in the first half of the race can come alive a little bit later, and exciting in other places as well, as Longworth is pressuring Hamish Munro. Hamish Munro stopping a lot earlier, now picking some spots back. A little bit of damage to the Longworth Ferrari. So I still say everyone in your top about 8 is a chance for a win here, because it's heating up and condensing back after those pit stops. Normally things condense back when they cool down, but I am no physicist.
Yeah, absolutely. We are actually got Gagliardi there out on screen, so his stop substantially longer than everyone else. So his was about 30 seconds or so to everyone else. It's actually got quite a big cross section there. We've got a few cars only about 10 seconds. Most seem to be around about that 13, 14, 15 seconds. So we did see Sagasar did take a very short stop. I think that's actually what's bumped him up a position or two during that pit cycle. So whether or not taking tyres there is going to prove to play out there in Gagliardi's favour. It is even though Mini Enduro is still quite short, so whether or not he can make the most of that.
So still a question mark over, will Joshua Robertson be penalised for jumping the start? The answer is potentially. We've yet to have confirmation on that one. Whatever way it goes, he's under a lot of pressure for that race lead from Sagasar here, suddenly getting a little more aggressive. Maybe dropped Jackson and Obersteller just a little bit in this stage of the race. One of the faster drivers out there is Pollock and Jordan in 5th and 6th behind as well. So as you see them all over the crest, it's not closing up so much on this lap. There are still a lot of cars in play.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just see them just spreading out a little bit now and just trying to work out where these gaps are and where it can be made potentially back up in the pit. So if we have a look, Jamie Blackman did have about 4 seconds less of fuel, and Nick Bottrell as well. So potentially they might end up shuffling down there in the next pit stop, trying to make up that difference in fueling.
A lot of curb from Sagasar, and the Audi does not like it. We've already seen it's one of the wigglier, twitchier cars. It's mid-engined and it does look a little loose. Oh, Oh, and someone spun in front of them and they avoid it. And that would be Hayden Jackson, potentially. Oh my goodness, such a heart-in-mouth moment for the leaders as Hayden Jackson has a big lose in the dipper, just manages to stay out of the way of the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. In quite a precarious position there, so you may have to get that toe this time around. Not having the greatest race here at Bathurst. Oh, gee, Sagasar again all over the back there of Joshua Robertson. Surely he's going to make a pass somewhere along potentially the next lap. We are going to hit the 20-minute mark, so we'll be getting pretty close here to the fuel. Oh, Sagasar again showing a nose.
Yeah, first and second had to woe up a little bit more for the lapped car than those behind. So that brings Jake Jackson back into the slipstream, which is exactly where you want to be in that Porsche. Brings the BMWs and Aaron Obersteller just a little shot closer. Craig DeVries, etc. So if I do maths out loud and live, which is never a great idea, full tank of fuel is about 35 seconds in these cars. So the drivers are taking sort of 15, so about 2/5 there. Oh, another big wiggle. Big moment from the Audi, the rear letting go on the downshift on the way into the cutting, and I think Sagasar's just gotten away with too much damage from that one. He's lucky to... Oh gosh. Ross Chastain the inside wall to straighten the car up? Is that a thing?
Yeah, we are going to cut here to a VRS replay, so just trying to see what the... You can see not too close there, so it wasn't like he really overbraked near the back there of Joshua Robinson, but oh, you just see that rear come around. But yeah, very, very lucky there to keep it off the wall, and really lucky there to catch it so quickly. It's, as we saw a little bit earlier, quite easy to pull a big tank slapper in one of these.
So great of Braden Sagasar to give me a moment to crunch those numbers. I think everyone took on, give or take, 18, 20 minutes of fuel. So we're going to run a little bit longer in this phase, but it will be almost definitely a two-stop race for everyone, pitting with about 10 minutes to go. So that Audi then, fast but tough to drive by all accounts.
Absolutely. So hopefully it hasn't spooked him too much, and I'll try and get around Jake Jackson just up ahead. So are seeing another car in the pits. Do believe that is Jamie Blackman. So we were talking a little bit before that he took probably about 50% less fuel than everyone else.
Yeah, but he should be able to get to the end from that stop though, so in early and run it towards the end. A little more careful with how you turn the wheel into the cutting this time around for Sagasar, I reckon. BMWs have started maybe just dropping a little bit. Pollock and Jordan, a couple others through the lane. Drivers have seen the window open to get to the end.
Yeah, I do believe, I think that's Nick Bottrell is the first one away in that group. So I'm sure we'll see over the next couple of laps or two that we're going to see this group in particular out the top four.
So this is where you use all the gears in the gearbox and all the throttle percentage under the right foot. Down Conrod straight. And that Audi gets a lot bigger in the camera right as we reach the braking zone for the chase. I was watching a slightly different angle and saw the brake lights on the Audi a long way into the corner. So the Porsche turning in a little a little easier. The Audi, I don't know, sort of riding a knife edge as it tries to pitch into the corner, but you don't want to upset it too deep in either. Gagliardi for the lane.
Yeah, so we did see Gagliardi there was one of our first pitters. Down about 6th position, so whether or not if his strategies really worked out, so he was rather harmed there by taking such a long stop, so surely he's already past the 20-second mark again, so sorry, he's already been in the lane for 20 seconds, so we'll see how long his stop is this time around.
Moment for the Porsche as Simon Dwyer just there, and he loses out to Nick Bottrell. There goes Gagliardi this time. More reasonable stop time. Up front though, Obersteller's found a little bit more pace, a little bit more form, definitely in the championship hunt against points leader Jake Jackson, who you can see just in front of him. So there's plenty of spice for this little race, and he's got a good view of what 2nd and 3rd are doing, and I'm intrigued in a good view of what Sagasar is doing, because I swear I see the brake lights come off and then come back on at the apex of the corner. We're going to find out though as they battle for 2nd and 3rd. Great view here, massive speed on the way into the chase for Gagliardi. There comes the brake lights just one more time through all of these corners.
Yeah, that was a pretty brave move there by Sagasar, so going really, really deep. Great overtake as well, so, and a good spot. So whether or not he can push on there to the back there of Joshua Robinson, you'd have to say Robinson just outside that slipstream at the moment, so it's all going to be there on Sagasar, going to be pulling that train along.
Yeah, track's cooling off a little bit as well, so does that help the Audi? It definitely seems like it can be quick, makes a great V10 noise. They've just got to be a little circumspect about how they load up the rear of the car on turn in to not lose it. This is where Sagasar made his move, but it's not where Bottrell's going to be able to make his Izzy. Big dive down the inside of Ken O'Hara. Okay, didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, these Audis sure can pull up there on a dime, so both of them getting it done in the chase, one on the outside, one on the inside. Oh, that was a rough corner exit there by Ken O'Hara. He's actually lost quite a lot of momentum. That's actually brought, I think, Simon Dwyer there up the inside, so he's going to lose potentially 2 positions. He did manage to get it happening there in Hell Corner, so, but you just see how much of a gap there, almost about a second or so already lost just in one corner, so he kind of came in, I think, a bit too crossed up.
3rd stop for Hamish Munro, not sure on that one. Sagasar is extending a little bit here on Jake Jackson, now under pressure from Obersteller. Positioned well to carry the speed through the chase and try to outbrake. Mercedes will just pull it off. Doesn't get a perfect exit though. Still be under pressure from Jackson. You can see 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and you can see 2nd, Braden Sagasar covering off that pit stop now. Elsewhere,
Here we are seeing Gagliardi, so his race is not having the best of runs. Oh, I thought he was actually going to save it there from just scraping that inside wall, but that is heavy contact on the outside, so he's going to, thankfully, back underway. Hasn't lost too much time coming around. It will, he might have actually clipped the grass there on the outside. Shows how quickly it can come unstuck.
I think he has turned in from on the grass. The Audi is, of course, going to get another position there. Nick Bottrell breaking a bunch of people down into the chase, whether they've got damage or not at the moment, it seems. Another run on pit lane. It's a busy place. Sagasar made the earlier stop last time around, therefore has to do it again. He's fueled and covered off to get to the end. These laps are super important for him.
Yes, just looking out on the screen. So I think it was about 34 seconds last time he was adrift there of Robertson, not being able to get around there. So he's only about 31 and a half seconds adrift of Robertson. So maybe he can work this undercut a little bit better than what he did last time.
This is definitely a pretty close to full attack lap. It's up against all of the curbs. Oh, he loses the rear on the way into the elbow. It scrapes the wall on the exit. Very similar to how he lost the rear on the way into the cutting as well. Here's everyone else attacking that pit entry, except Jake Jackson reckons he's got one more. Obersteller and Robertson don't, so we've got a big spread on the strategy. Audi's pit, then Mercedes pit. Porsches are going to go one longer in the hands of Jake Jackson.
Yeah, so a very very lonely lap there by Jake Jackson. Might be a good hint there for our Pro-Am cars as well on really what that best strategy is. As we do see, I think that is Sagasay out in between again, so not really being able to advance. Potentially, he did lose about a second and a half there with that incident coming out of Forest Elbow, so whether or not that was that make or break moment.
Feels like it could have been, did not look planted, would have hurt his run off the corner as well. Without that moment, would he be right on Joshua Robertson for the lead here? Would he be in front of him? Otherwise, it looks very similar to how it was before they pitted. Still in range to attack for the win here with 9 minutes to go. All comes down, I think, to this final stop for Jake Jackson. Is it going to be a really quick run through the lane? It could be. That's been a strength of the Porsches all season. He's run longer than anyone else. So he'll be looking at 4 more laps when he fuels up. No chance it goes down to 3 with his pit stop, does it? I don't think so. No, definitely needs to put fuel in to make it 4 more laps from here.
There we go. So it was about 26 seconds now, so we'll just see how quickly. Surely he would have to have almost a 5-second stop to really make it worth his while. We've already seen both Robertson and Sagasay, they're both with 11-second stops, so I think Jake Jackson has just hung himself out just a little bit too much to dry.
Oh, there's a bit of drama at the cutting. Robertson out of the final corner. Jackson still fueling. It's a quick stop, but is it quick enough? He's going to go around the other 911. He's going to be close, but he's not going to have the momentum up the hill, but he'll be in place to fight all the way to the end. He immediately drops right into the slipstream. Almost perfect for Jackson. So the Porsche have the straight line speed to fight this out in the final laps, though. While that was happening,
Just having a look here.
it's a bit Longworth. Yep.
Well, that is a really tricky part of the circuit to be stuck on, facing the other way. Choosing to take the toe hook, which is quite wise.
I think Dwyer might have just clipped him, but other than that, it was His best Audi impression on the way into the cutting. When you don't have confidence in the car, you want to take that shallower entry, but it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, because then you're turning in from the shallower line. You've got to cut it a bit sharper as well, and that's kind of where he might have lost it. So these are your leaders. Everyone fueled to get to the end. Almost evenly spaced, like planes lined up to land at LAX or Chicago or something. 3.5 seconds across the lot of them. 3 laps to go at the end of this.
Yeah, I was curious to see how we were going to go with the lap count versus time, but it looks to be all pretty well in order there. No nasty surprises. Actually seeing there, Jackson, he was probably about 3/10 when he blended back in from the pits there. Still about 4/10 back, so whether or not he's got enough in the tank to put in a bit of an attack.
Watching the speeds. Only about now does the Porsche break even in the slipstream up the hill, so he is just a little hampered. He needs to really get out of Forest Elbow well if he's going to have a chance at this one. The big V8 of the Mercedes doing a little better. Oh, well, that clears the blockage, I guess. Not quite how they would have wanted it.
So we are seeing, I think that is, all kinds of cross up there for Tom Brown, and in a really tricky part of the circuit. So he's trying to go back as far as he can.
There's no good move to make in this situation. Some are maybe worse than others. I don't know. Hard to know.
It's almost a bit like the Austin Powers, the BMW being the length. Oh, just it's such a, as we were saying before, it's such a blind part of the circuit. So there's really not much you can do. You'll be able to notice on the relative that someone's stuck out in front, but you'd almost have to go through a walking pace to be able to get around left or right.
Once you've thrown the car off of Skyline, there's no slowing it down before the apex of the dipper. You're already braking as hard as you can, trying to keep the car between the walls in that section as well. So you're committed, you're strapped into the ride from 2-3 corners beforehand as well. This is the situation at the front. Half a second. Good run off the turn 1 from Jackson. Not going to be a great run there for Ian Jordan, as he gets squeezed a little bit by Thomas LePrake. Qualified 12th, now running 6th, so he's kind of appeared a little late on in this race. As LePrake. Aaron Obersteller was the fastest of these 4 on the last lap as well, and he set his personal best lap of this race. Did he set the fastest lap of the race? Maybe. But it was quick, so he's found a turn of pace right now. And it was the fastest lap of the race. The lap just completed now for Aaron Obersteller.
I'd have to say, even with that fastest lap, surely we'll be happy with that. Maybe a bit of a disappointment there, not making it onto the podium for Obersteller.
Mate, there's a whole nother lap to go. You can't say that at Bathurst just yet. What are you on about? But it is looking a little late in the day for a charge to try to take the win. He's almost 3 seconds back. This is Hayden Jackson. No, Ash DeVries. So we're talking about fully committed from the moment you go over Skyline. Gets to the dipper with a little bit too much speed and loops it around. So one more lap of the mountain for the pass to Enduro. Can Robertson hold on? Can Jackson pressure him? Can Sagasar and Obersteller keep up the pace? Jackson in the slipstream and closing, but just no chance of being close enough. That Porsche's a good car all around. It's been quite successful. So just missing a couple of those ponies is making it difficult to seal the deal and get the job done. Next car length through the cutting. Able to carry that speed well up the hill here. Thread it between the concrete walls, and he's only a car length back. If he can keep this distance and get a good run out of Forest Elbow, there's still a chance. It's still on. He turns in maybe a little early across the top of the hill. But you've got to just give yourself a chance on Conrod Straight.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I would have to say, Jake Jackson, though. What a run.
Well, he's there. He got super close in the braking zone. I thought he was almost thinking about Matt Campbelling it down the inside. And that might have been his best bet in a car like this with great braking performance. Robertson does about what you'd expect. Down Conrod Straight, trying to break that toad to the power deficient Porsche so that it can't be close enough to outbrake him here at the chase. Jackson's still going to get closer, but he's not close enough to attack there, and he maybe runs it a little wide, tapping some of the grass. 2 car lengths back on the brakes into the final corner. Through the final corner, the Mercedes V8 is going to bring Joshua Robertson to the line first. Will the win stand? Jake Jackson's going to extend his championship lead from Aaron Obersteller. Sam Batty and Nick Bottrell are going to race it to the line. Bottrell's had super braking performance in the Audi all race, but done himself a little bit of a mischief on that one, throwing it in a little bit too deep at his last chance to maybe try to take a top 10. No, he will. No, he won't. He'll get the line in 11th.
Yeah, so great running there. Was expecting to see maybe a few of those drop back cars a little bit further up the order, but great run there by Sam Batty, just rounding out that top 10.
So Robertson in the Merc. First to this line. Jake Jackson, Braden Sagasar, Aaron Obersteller, Ben Pollock dropping back a little bit. Leprake got around Jordan. De Vries, Blackman and Batty are the top 10. Then it was Nick Bottrell, Patrick Hansen, David Baz, Sean Gagliardi, Adam Hill Motion, Graham Filand and Simon Dwyer. And last car on the lead lap will be Ken O'Hara. We saw the dramas for Hayden Jackson, damage and then a spin and then maybe a little bit more damage. Likewise for Tom Brown and Hamish Monroe and the retiring Ferrari of Paul Longworth, Reece Ashmore. And Benjamin Johnson, that Audi ate the wall quite early on. Some of the drivers are lining up for the old Jumperino. So I've got to wait for Hayden Jackson and Tom Brown. So in the simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, your past 2 competitors have had an awesome race. But now it's going to be time for the Pro-Am Sim Series. The big boys are out on track in not too long. Stick with us as we bring you another 60-minute GT action-packed thriller from the mountain.
You do like it?
I love it, yeah.
Now when you go pre-owned, you can enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. Tested and backed by Toyota.
Upgrade your car, mate.
This? Yeah, no big deal.
Toyota certified. Pre-owned in a class of its own. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
So with 60 minutes of Mount Panorama Endurance GT3 racing ahead of us for some of the Australia, New Zealand community's top drivers, we cannot wait for the big feature race. Simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series here from Mount Panorama. So brought to you by Simrigs.com, offering a large range of affordable and high-end racing simulator equipment for the beginner and pro alike. Australian-owned and operated. Product advice and warranty service. Single product or full turnkey rigs. Use the promo code OzProAm for a 5% discount at checkout at simrigs.com. We're also brought to you by Echuca Toyota. They're a family-owned and operated business that understands purchasing and owning a vehicle is a unique and important experience for our guests. We're committed to the Toyota brand, holding the full range of vehicles. This means that when you come to our dealership, you'll be able to view and test drive any Toyota that interests you. We also stock a diverse range of quality and certified pre-owned vehicles, each of which has been handpicked by us. For more, head to echucatoyota.com.au. And Ferguson Group Media are a full-stack media company that work with SME businesses across website development, e-commerce, social media strategy and execution. For information, head to fergusongroupmedia.com. Awesome to have all of our partners on board for the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, making the championship and the broadcast possible. And we are looking forward to this race at Mount Panorama. Definitely one of the tracks you see on the schedule. You pencil a big circle around, looking forward to racing there. It's a circuit everyone's well familiar with, and it's a circuit with a lot of bragging rights if you can come out on top. In the pro class standings, Marcus Watson is on top, but things are mighty close here for the pro division from Brad Watson, Daniel Yeaman, Dylan O'Shea. Kobe Williams was lightning in a bottle at Indianapolis Motor Speedway last week, taking the wins, and he is not far away from the top of that championship. Ross Rizzo had a big recovery drive, and Lachlan Capel, Adam Funslow, Sebastian Flock, and Christopher Henn complete our top 10. It is anyone's game up the front there, and with just one race to score points in this week, the Mountain can decide a pretty big swing in the championship potentially. Nick, do you want to take a look at the AM class?
Absolutely. We just have it loading up there. There goes Stephen Tonkin just leading Gustav Cirillo. Timothy Harris there. Very, very close between those two. Jeffrey Wang, Jordan Ferguson, Sam Lehman there. With Sam's a little bit further down than when we normally see him. Tom Wilkinson, Glenn Cito-Riddle, Hayden Veld, and Tony Barker. So great spread of a few names that we've seen over the last year or so. So we are seeing our balance of performance here. So as we mentioned before, the Audi getting even a little bit more of a haircut. That's what we're seeing. It seems to be the GT3 at the moment. Seems to be the car to have here at Bathurst if our AM class is anything to go by.
Yeah, subtle differences to the balance of performance here, sort of based on how the car performs in the pro hands, where maybe the more difficult, more knife edge, but potentially quick cars get bopped a little harder than they do in Pass 2, where it can be more difficult to extract that final performance, maybe out of twitchier cars like the Audi R8 or the Porsche 911 GT3R. You see that they are both down at 96.5 and 96% power, so they will struggle to make passes up Mountain Straight. and down Conrod Straight, but there's a great opportunity there to make speed across the top of the mountain, and also big strategy windows in our 60-minute race. You'll see that the Ferrari 488 and the Lamborghini Huracan have had their restrictors widened a little bit. So the 488 could be a very prancing horse down the long straights here. Nick, could that make it a dark horse?
That's exactly right. A dark horse surrounded by a yellow fire, perhaps. Be great to see the Lamborghini out there. I know that we're not running the Lamborghini there in the M class. Well, we just don't have a driver taking it. So we did see them quite in the mix there in the last rounds of very much around Daytona and Indy. So potentially this could be the Huracan's chance between that and the 488 Ferrari.
Well, the idea is it adjusts round to round and should achieve some kind of balance, some kind of sort of equilibrium where every car has an equal chance at victory, at success, and at points. So they are just coming to the end of qualifying here. We're looking at Ross Rizzo. He's jumped between almost every car available over the last couple of seasons, and he's landed in the Porsche 911 GT3R. He's landed with a paint on it as well.
Yeah, looks mighty fine there in that. Two wheels all well and truly off the track there, so good chance there to practice pit entry. It's definitely a spot where a lot of time can be made up here around this circuit.
Yeah, precisely. Before you get to that yellow cone start of the speed limit, it's all racetrack. You want to take it as fast as you possibly can. They wanted to go as fast as they possibly can in qualifying, and it was Luke Turner with a 2-minute 1.9 who's taken our pole position. That is super quick. And a handy couple of tenths ahead of Kobe Williams, who was really quick in that Mercedes at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, like we said. Sebastian Flock, Lamborghini has a good bit of power. That's helped it in qualifying potentially. Will it help it in the race? Lachlan Capel in the BMW is going to start out fourth. First Porsche is Dylan O'Shea, and that is a respectable qualifying effort, given, what is it missing, 30, 40 horses? Certainly plenty. Luke Fitt, first Ferrari, has been the recipient of those horses. Bit of variety inside of your top six then. Tim Audi will start out as 7th. Glenn Riddle, 8th on the grid, your highest qualifying AM runner. That is a really strong performance. Might he be a little bit of a Mount Panorama Bathurst specialist there? Ahead of Christopher Henn, Ben Faulkner, Jared Hughes with the 2-minute 3 flat. He's 0.02 of a second quicker than Tim Harris, who is going to be the second place AM car on the grid. It's Chu Kang, Kenny Konomos, Ross Rizzo, and Tony Baker. Kenny normally on a more console-y platform? Am I thinking of someone else? Alex Court and Brad Watson, you can see they're sharing row number 9. Very few Audis up front, but there was one of them. Jordan Peter, Jeffrey Wang, Ryan Kasher, Aaron Cooper, Daniel Yeaman, and Sam Lehman. Top 24. It is a big grid here in Pro-Am with the first and second tier combined on a one grid. Tyson Broad, Adam Funslow, Richard Brookfield, Dale Carpenter, Dylan Shepherd, and Harry Lawrence to the 30. But it keeps going because, of course, everyone's out in force tonight. Everyone wants to race at Bathurst. Everyone owns it. Everyone loves it. Derek Audie, John Merritt, Ben Jeffrey, Matthew Johnson, Stephen Tonkin, Tom Wilkinson as we get a bit deeper into the AM field. Stephen Tonkin not qualifying quite as pointy as his championship standing would suggest. Brady Buchanan, Adam Jepson, Jordan Ferguson, Joshua Fitt, Brandon Groch, Gustavo Cirillo back here. No qualifying times out of Fitt, Groch, or Cirillo. wave to everyone at the Bathurst Light Car Club. Wave, if you're listening to us, fellas. Daniel Yeaman on the left. Lachlan Capel on the right. Hello, Brady Buchanan. It's connecting now on the grid. Good on you, fella. Fantastic. And the pace car's pulling away, so get those gloves on quick, son. Now, what we should expect to see is our front row holding speed, holding formation until Barney waves the green flag. All the green pixels have been burnt out of my monitor. Looking at Kobe Williams. Though, I don't have scurvy because I'm not Lyme deficient at all.
Yeah, as we've seen, Kobe Williams has just been so strong of late. He always just seems to have that pace. You can see him really bunching up that field. Pace car is well and truly off, though. We are going to see that green flag coming up.
Barney's going to drop it. We're going to roar into life for 60 minutes of racing on the mountain, and there's some good jumps a little deeper in the field here, almost 3 wide. Oh, they are. I was going to say sensibly backing out of it, but there's only so far you can back out of this. A couple drivers running wide off of turn number 1, very reminiscent of the 1000, if I'm honest with you. The whole grid steaming up mountain straight. Noise, power towards the braking zone at Griffin's Bend. Kobe Williams through into the lead of the race on Luke Turner, though. The Mercedes not deficient off of turn number 1, not deficient uphill. They're still too wide in places here. Can they do it through the cutting? There's already a little bit of a pile-up. It starts with Dale Carpenter on back on the exit. Griffin's Bend, no dramas for our leaders into the cutting, though.
Yeah, the cutting, everyone getting through pretty well cleanly. As we've seen, it's just so jittery there on the first lap as we come around. So I think, as you were saying, I think it was Dale Carpenter, I think Brandon Grove there as well. I think we've had a few people right off the back.
So there's Dale Carpenter, and here's Harry Lawrence. That car, the suspension clearly damaged. He's trying to limp it around. It doesn't want to turn. It wants to turn. Not sure what's going on there. But this would be O'Shea on the back of Capel. It confuses me because I think last season O'Shea was in a BMW and Capel was in a Porsche. They are Uno reverse card on that one, but Kobe Williams immediately into the gamesmanship with the slipstream for the first time down Conrod Straight. The full horsepower of the Ferrari in effect, though, for Tim Audi. He is steaming past them as the turbocharged V8 does what it should do. They're battling behind him on the brakes into the chase. The Ferrari, for all of its straight line speed, not as stable on the brakes or on the turn-in to Christopher Henn's car behind. Ben Faulkner immediately for the lane, and I think it's for the damage you can see all the way down the right-hand side. Chunk taken out of that one like a shark found it.
Yeah, he actually didn't lose too much time there. He was actually up 2 positions when he pulled into the pit, so must have obviously scrapped the
Might have had a spicy meatball.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do see Kobe Williams again out in front. Not really pulling away there from Luke Turner, so only about less than a tenth separating those two. Lachlan Capel in the mix as well, so we'll see if those 3 pull away into their own battle pack, but you'd have to say that top 5 only separated there by about 7 seconds or so.
DJ Lachlan Capel in the mix for your Thursday night, it seems like. I'm told my confusion isn't unfounded. Lachlan Capel has switched from the Porsche to the BMW in the last week. Pretty sure they are allowed 1 swap of car in the season. Other than that, they're typically locked in. Could it be he's gone and been very competitive in the Porsche? It's had its wings clipped, and he's going to switch to the BMW for the back half of the season, or maybe it just suits him a little better. You can see the correct advertising hoardings flipping by on his side monitor there.
Yeah, I was going to say, look at the concentration there on his face coming down. It's absolutely 100% commitment. Can take a bit of a breather though, coming down Conrod Straight. Try and suss out how you're positioned, how your fuel burn is going.
An even longer race, this one, 60 minutes. So a little bit of fuel saving in the pack could add up to something bigger towards the tail end of this race. And it is a lot busier on track, not quite twice as many cars, but we've gone from 25 to 42-ish. So it is busy out there. If you do pit early, the traffic could be pretty significant. Jim Audi, a lot of power in that Ferrari, dragging a train around, presumably quite difficult to pass.
Yeah, so we just see the big run up there, Mountain Straight. See that Lamborghini not making too much of a move there. That eyelet car there of Christopher Hen. You can actually see just from that shot there as well, he's got Luke Fitt all over the back of him as well. Whether or not Luke Fitt's going to try and make a move, does just go a bit of a nose there on the outside. No such problems there going through the cutting over the back of the mountain. You can actually see that sun starting to look like it's setting here as well. So we are around about 6:30 there sim time. So we could see it go into the dark just a little bit. 24 degrees though, so still quite nice and warm temperatures here.
Simulated date is today's date, and this is one of those silly states with their silly move the clocks around nonsense. So sunset could be pretty late on, but still 55 minutes of racing to go. Ryan Casher is stuck at the cutting, back of his car in the tyres there. Got to be careful with that tyre barrier, it'll bite you. He has had to wait so long. He's timed that one very close. Kobe Williams still leads. Is it a three-way breakaway with Turner and Capel? Flock and O'Shea have swapped places back there in 4th and 5th. So the Lamborghini, plenty of power, working its way through the field here. O'Shea maybe just dropping back a tiny bit. Alex caught in.
Yeah, as we see, so whether or not that was a planned pit there for Alex Court, so we did see it was around about that 10-minute mark that we saw the majority of the cars come in. Oh, great little pass there. I think that was Luke Fitt on Christopher Hen, so Luke just making back those positions, so he's one down from where he qualified out in 6. Just see that gap though opening up ahead. I think that is Tim Orty, who's there all the way out on his own at the moment, so he's about 3 seconds or so of the car in front. He has this grouping behind, so he's definitely out no man's land, but not a bad place to be though on an enduro like this.
So this is a really interesting little group of cars here, a little bit back off the lead. But there are some movers, shakers, and potentially some fuel savers in here as well. So you've got these BMWs, Vriddle and Connor Moss. You're not going to have the Red Room Mercedes of Matthew Johnson, though, because that thing nearly tumbled down the front of the mountain across the signage. Leader's going to pit. Kobe Williams has led every single lap. No slipstream. Not really much hint of a fuel saving for him. So he pits after 4 laps. Almost everyone else is going to go longer than that. So for Williams, is he going to be able to make this strategy work? And where is he going to leave pit lane after this? Because I think the tail of the field and a lot of the AM class runners, he's going to exit the pit lane right into them. And even if it's only for 1 lap, he's not going to be able to maintain the same pace he was capable of before, and he opens himself up into a little bit of danger as well, because there's been some crashes and some collisions elsewhere in the field. Speaking of, your AM class leader at the moment is Glencito Riddle in this pack here as well. So he's doing well for himself. What is he, a sheep wearing some wolf ears or something in there, trying to blend in with the pro cars inside of the top 10 and scuttle away from the rest of the drivers that he's classed with as far as the championship points are concerned, the rest of the AM class runners with the blue number boards.
Oh, I did see a BMW there go quite sideways. It's, these GT3 cars, not great with these big height transitions and the curbing. It's just such stiff suspension. They can come unstuck just so fast. Especially coming in through the dipper. I'm sure so many have been practicing as much as they can there in the lead up. Even this coming into Forest Elbow is such a tricky part, coming over the crest and then heading right and then left. Does take quite a lot of practice there, so surely we're going to see Turner and Capel come in this lap.
Saw Brad Watson second, but started out of 18th on the grid, trying to move up. There's a couple more guys pitting, but interestingly, a few more carry on some extra laps, so 2 more than Kobe Williams. How's that going to factor in for him? It's like the majority of the field on the pit entry this time, though. So who has carried on? Well, it's Luke Turner and it's Lachlan Capel in the BMWs. They were well positioned behind the leader, but Sebastian Flock and Tim Audi also going on. Kenny Conamos and Ross Rizzo 5th and 6th. So Rizzo going long. Jay can see my shocked face, and we'll see if that works out for them with a lot of racing still to go.
So
could this be the difference between a 2 and a 3 stop race even? That was not something that was in question in past 2. It was going to be a 2 stop race however you sliced up the cake. But this one, there is a chance that some of these guys running the really long opening stint could stretch the next stint to get them to the get home number.
Yes, it's definitely something to take into consideration. Riding on board here with car 82, Stephen Tonkin and Adam Jepson. Adam having a really, really good run there. I think he's our biggest gainer so far. We've seen a lot of cars pit, obviously, but sitting pretty well, about up 26th position, so we'll see how he comes out when he takes his pit around here and possibly trying to go that one longer.
Tonkin, the AM class leader. This is your in the championship. So looking for another good result. Here are your leaders, Turner and Capel. Does pit entry beckon for them? It sure does. They're going to try to attack this one. Here comes everyone else. We'll follow the leader. And manage it a little tidier than Craig Lowndes did. That's going to be everyone through the lane for their first stop. How's it been for Kobe Williams? Well, things look relatively clear in front of him on this lap. So the traffic parts, the C's open, and he's hoping to still be in contention up front. Now everyone's cycled through the first time. Luke Turner is already out of the lane though. And that's the difference the traffic makes for Kobe Williams. He's stopped earlier, taken on a little less fuel than these guys, and they're still ahead of him. So Capel in front has gone 3 seconds more fuel, which is a lot with the fueling rigs for these GT3 cars, and has track position. So that lap just then for Williams, this flying lap, 3.8. Maybe missed a second or so in the traffic there, and it's hard to compare how his outlap was to what these guys are about to do. But not sure that the outlap was clear of traffic either. Things are hot in the rear-facing camera for the AM leader. They all cycle through. Glencito Riddle still first AM car out on track and leading class. Head of Orti, Konomos, Rizzo, and you can see Tim Harris, his main challenger there in this class. Just a couple of cars back, and both of them well positioned in the championship points as well. Oh, Stefan Tonkin, the points leader though, has just been hit.
Yeah, we'll try and get a replay there. Oh, he's in a really tricky part of the circuit as well. And we've seen, I think that was a number of cars head off there. Oh, he's still... That is a 270-degree flick spin there.
So, this is what happened for Tonkin. No, hasn't it already happened? It's exit of the cutting here. So, oh. He's had a slow run off the cutting and someone's tried to force the issue there. And then, ouch for the 21 and others. Okay, the Mercedes is trying to go around the outside of the cutting, loses the track position and then puts the nose back in.
Really, really unfortunate there. I think that was...
Ooh, how close did that Audi get? My word.
Yeah, Jordan Ferguson just being the real innocent bystander and all that.
So Luke Turner leads by 2 seconds. Capel, with the most fuel on board of almost anyone in the top 10, is holding off Kobe Williams. It's a chunk of time to O'Shea and Flock, and Ben Faulkner had an early stop, a really short fill, so he finds himself 6th. It didn't look like he managed to fix the right-hand side of the car, or if he did, he's gone and grazed it again, as Faulkner. Oh, I'm told that fixed the right-hand side of the car, got out there and scraped it again somewhere. So it is full attack for Faulkner. Here's the sandwich of some of your pro runners between the AM leaders.
Oh. Gee, you can see just washing off that speed mid-corner and just how much it bunches everyone up. Just the Kobe Williams there under a lot of pressure there by Lachlan Capel. It's going to make him quite difficult to try and claw back onto that lead.
Here's your move 2nd and 3rd. Was it tactical a little maybe from Capel? Letting the flying Kobe Williams past and maybe hoping to extend strategy a little further. Yeah, that looks like 3/4 of the throttle in the BMW. To me. And you'll see the gap from Turner leading the way to Williams, now released and on the attack.
You can see even after, it's only really been about 18 minutes, like just slightly longer than 15 minutes, and everyone's so spread out here. Everyone's just trying to find their rhythm. Seeing all cars all on that one pit stop now. I think we've only had a few repairs and damage, so we'll see how long they can hold it out here. Great driving by these two, just holding that gap so tightly.
Definitely a strong point for cars that aren't the Ferraris across the top of the mountain, but it's got legs. 4 of them, the Ferrari. Kenny Konomos looking at how tight, open the power well, but look, immediately the Ferrari just pulls really wide power band for the turbo car as well. Right in the slipstream, but hardly closing some drummers at the exit of the cutting. Daniel Yeaman. Read into that face what you will.
Yep, it did manage.
Positions lost for Fit here though. Connor Moss has gotten past, Rizzo's gotten past. Tim Harris is not wanting to be held up at all. Connor Moss has caught some of the grass on the exit. Rizzo down the inside looking to turn one to take that spot away. So we look elsewhere and it all kicks off in this little group here. And Harris will want to push forward here to catch Cito Riddle, who's pulled a couple seconds on that group. Porsche, no power up Mountain Straight. But you don't want to be around the outside here. You just chop across. Take that camber and take that position back. Rizzo just a sitting duck up the Mountain Straight.
So you can see Rizzo there already up 5 positions. As we've seen, we're not even really close to that halfway mark yet, so making some really good pace. Obviously will be kicking himself, I think, what could have been qualifying well down the order.
It would have been a very busy track during qualifying. You only get a couple of runs at it where the tyres are in their prime, and then in-laps, out-laps take up a lot of time around here as well. And the Porsche's never been the greatest qualifying car anyway. So, yeah, if you'd been 5-6 positions further up the grid, might have been nice. But in the balance of probabilities and getting the best out of the car, it's about where maybe the best it could do in that kind of circumstance.
See, it's quite a good battle pack there, all the way from Kenny Konomas down to Shi Kang. Only about all positioned, all about less than a second or so from each other. So it's a good train that can potentially even work together there. Try and work on that fuel saving a little bit more.
Been doing my sleuthing on Connor Moss to see how much iRacing he's been doing lately. Kobe Williams. This is the replay. What happens for him here? Is it that dreaded Mercedes downshift? It just runs a bit wide onto the filthy stuff in the cutting. Just a tiny bit wide out of the groove there. Typically very one line through there. A lot across the top of the mountain. Feels like it is, but there even more so. Might be counting his lucky stars. He's still got a Mercedes in one piece.
Yeah, I was about to say there, Kenny Konomas must be doing a bit of iRacing there. Pretty strong rating there of 4.99, so you can't get too much better than that, I don't believe.
I hear some clutches. I hear some coasting from this pack at the chase. Who's got the numbers to maybe make this a 2-stop race? It's not going to be Alex Court because he's already in for his second stop here. He was early in the lane the first time around, so he's early into the lane the next time around. What's the state of play amongst the AM runners then? Still going well for Glenn Cito Riddle. He's in a little bit of clean air all to himself. In fact, he's almost catching he is catching sort of 6th and 7th place overall here as well, putting a lot of space and some cars between himself and Tim Harris. Now, of course, it doesn't matter how many pro cars between you and second place in AM, it gets scored the same. There's a 1 point score for pro cars, 1 point score for AM cars, but then you've got Jeffrey Wang for 3rd in that class, Tony Baker for 4th. Jared Hughes doesn't have a letter next to him, but I'm going to guess in the absence of one or the other, he's pro. And so then Tom Wilkinson, Tony Baker, Tom Wilkinson, Sam Lehman. I think that kind of makes up the top 4 or 5 of the AM runners.
Yeah, I'd have to say there for Riddle there in the Pro-Am, absolutely walking away with it at the moment. So got quite a good buffer and will be a great points grab here. So just hitting that 35-minute mark, we're getting close to our halfway mark. I see Williams though has done a great job. I was about to say he's done a great job reeling in. He is going for the pits. Unfortunately, I think he does have damage as well. So, sorry, he had damage earlier on. So taking that fast repair a little bit earlier.
Didn't look like a whole lot of damage on his car in the very, very first stint of this race. So that's interesting to me, but the usual suspects carry on. Shea and Flock. Shea goes middle of the road. Flock doesn't quite want to pass him. See, this is what I'm talking about. Stopping early. Williams comes out and he's got this big bunch of traffic for this lap, the next lap, whatever it may be. Where's he sandwiched in between Tyson Broad and Aaron Cooper? So he's got to fend off, try to block out Cooper. And then be losing precious time behind Broad and others there. There's just no one who's got the speed of Luke Turner, though. He's a 10th away from the fastest lap of the race that he already owns last lap. It's kind of a classic Lotus on the BMW. And you can see made 8/10 on second place Lachlan Capel last lap, last circuit.
You can actually see just that comparison over those last 3 laps. You're absolutely walking away from it. There's not really much that Lachlan Capel can do.
He's in the pits now. He's made 7 laps on that stint, so not a hint of fuel saving. That brings him in. O'Shea likewise. And a handful of others will follow in. It's that time. Christopher Hennon, one of the higher placed ILEC cars. Your AM leader of Riddle is in. So the track clears up a little bit in front of Kobe Williams. But Luke Turner is already in, out, and going up Mountain Straight.
See Williams again pulling a big train of cars in along behind. So that is Kobe Williams, Tyson Broad, and Aaron Cooper there. Aaron just a little bit further away. I think Dylan O'Shea as well. So great mix of cars in. Both, I think Luke Turner, Kobe Williams, Dylan O'Shea. So they're our first of our second bidders here.
tight little group here. So Peter, Brandon Grosh, Brad Watson. Not been the race for Watson of the Brad variety this race so far. Second in the points. And points leading Marcus. I was looking for earlier, couldn't spot, and confirmation he's not on the grid today. So they're at half strength and maybe looking at a little bit as well. It's not going amazingly for them. Lachlan Capel is going to go to 9 laps. Tim Harris has just done 9 and he's pitting in now. So that looks to the limit of what's possible. 8 is typical. 9 is achievable. So it's still Lachlan Capel, Ross Rizzo out there. Here's Luke Turner. Already made that stop and he's not that far behind them. His pace is working wonders for him. 15 laps to go by some calculations at this point right now. I believe that, given we're doing lap times just over 2 minutes. So yeah, definitely one more after this one for everyone, including your Rizzos, Capels, etc. Across the top of the mountain, throwing it down, hitting all the apexes like a skiing run, like a slalom course even, from Skyline. As much speed as you possibly can while staying on line, floating from apex to apex, down to the elbow and then powering off that.
Yeah, you'd have to see there for Capel. He's definitely pondering what to do there. His car does have a little bit of damage, as you can see.
Need a Tickford mechanic to jump on that.
Yeah, potentially. So whether or not this is going to be the time to try and use that fast repair. We do have a drop air car there of Tyson Broad off at the moment, so he's going to try and pull his best 3-point turn or 10-point turn.
He's bringing the Bathurst, but yeah, that is a very, very tough place to end up in the fence. The Audi's been a difficult car all round at this track. He's just behind Kobe Williams, methinks. Yeah. So mainly got clean air on his nose at this point as he approaches towards Skyline. So he straddles a little too much of the curb early on. Straddles a little too much of that curb and it bites on him immediately, but he turned in shallow across the top of the mountain because he couldn't get back across to the left because he couldn't steer left across from the exit curb. So it starts a lot earlier than it looks. Everyone through the lane for the second time, including those longer runners. So Capel makes his stop, pops out right behind Williams, but there's now a 3-lap split on these guys. Capel is carrying 3 more laps of fuel, and Williams is going to struggle to make it to the end on just 1 more stop. He stopped 3 laps ago. There's 14 still to go. It means he's got to make 17 laps from his previous stop, which is going to be an 8-lap run and a 9-lap run. So he's going to have to make one of his stints 9 laps to not need to pit coming to the white flag, basically. Oh, there's that curve. Dylan O'Shea gets a huge chunk of it, then has to back out of it, costing himself speed to Skyline and the way down. There we go. So it just washes out wide a bit in the middle. He gets it wrong side of that curb. It didn't turn in how he hoped. The track drops away right as you pitch into the corner, so sometimes the rear wants to go around on you. Sometimes the front walks a little bit and then grips up. It walked a little bit and then walked a tiny bit further, had him a car width from from the apex there. Luke Turner, after 3 laps, in again from the lead. That's not on schedule. He's got a black flag of some kind. Has he cut the chase? Has he? Where has that come from? How do you?
Yeah, potentially speeding in pit lane.
Yeah, speeding on. Well, it can't be speeding on pit exit. Look where his stall is. So it'd have to be what? Cutting the blend line on the exit or leaving the circuit on the. We're gonna have to look at his last pit stop, I reckon, to unpick that one, because that has cost Luke Turner big time. It should have been a drive-through, right? And he's taking service and he's adding fuel to that fire. Anyway, 34 seconds and he's out now. Reminds me of Gagliardi's pit stop time, actually. So maybe Gagliardi had a black flag as well. So this can confirm that this is his second stop. Okay, this is the previous stop. So he's heading for his stall. Can we jump 10 seconds? Okay, so we're going to watch his 13-second pit stop here in the number 1 garage. Does he cut the blend line on the exit is the question. And if he did, and he's been penalised for that, so what happens? Ah, right, okay, sure. That'd do it, I think. He was tracking out to unsafe pit exit, and for Luke Turner, a massive lead. That looks like it's undone him. It's cost him easily 40, 50 seconds. So Kobe Williams leads, needing to save a little bit of fuel to make this one work. Lachlan Capel, tons of fuel, right in his slipstream in second place. Sebastian Flock in the Lamborghini third. O'Shea in fourth. And then Ben Faulkner and Luke Fitt in fifth and sixth here. Faulkner pitted early and might need an extra stop as well. Yeah, in fact, it's 2 stops to get to the end for Faulkner, because here he goes. The stop number 3 with a 4th still in the books with 23 minutes to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, gee, action anywhere you look here at the moment.
Well, can I offer you Glenn Cito Riddle, the AM class leader, throwing it down the inside of pro runner Christopher Henn in turn 1, and then trying to out-drag the Lamborghini up Mountain Straight. Ross Rizzo, 7 positions gained so far in this one in their slipstream. The Lamborghini, lots of power, has its nose to the inside for Griffin's Bend, but it can't outbrake Cito Riddle, who chops back across. He uses the camber of the road for the perfect banking and the slingshot up the hill.
Actually does look like Henn's under a lot of pressure there from Ross Rizzo. Even comparing their last laps, gee, Rizzo has been almost about half a second faster, so I do think Christopher Henn's going to be under a lot of pressure quite soon.
Big difference in where of the cars and of the drivers are. That Lamborghini is a bit of a handful in places. Rizzo almost helping him over the skyline. So sometimes the Lamborghini's all over the BMW, and then sometimes it's Rizzo all over Henn. Throw it down the inside, son. Give it a go. He's so close on the brakes. It doesn't look to be a strength of the Lamborghini, but the Lamborghini is good with the horsepower. And so he gets off the corner clean enough and just starts walking them on the initial part of Conrod Straight. It's Connor Moss looking to line up Rizzo. The one thing that Porsche doesn't have is horsepower.
Gee, you can just see how much it hurts Rizzo there. So, gee, what a great battle between these 4. Glenn Cito Riddle having just that little bit of a gap to these 3, so potentially the 3 behind might end up slowing themselves up, having to defend an attack.
Well, I'm looking, who's going to close in on that group, because I saw Tim Audi in the Ferrari just in the background, but just behind him, Chu Kang just had a personal best lap and a very competitive one as well. So I don't know where he's been all race long for the last 40 minutes, but suddenly, that Ferrari looking pretty mighty. Track is cooling off as we go. I reckon it will be pretty dark by the end of this one. There are many parts of the circuit now in the shade.
Boy, gee, you can see that glare as they're heading, I guess you could say west, over the top of the mountain. You can just see how much the cars float. They do have quite a lot of downforce, but such an exciting track here at Bathurst.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever heard of this place though, unfortunately. So, as good as it is, you need to work on the marketing. Not enough myth, legend, reputation, high stakes. Oh, it's good. So Konomos on the attack again. Definitely a couple weak points for Hen might be braking or the fast corners. Konomos looks around the outside of the kink to get the inside, and he does have a better braking performance. Square that one off, cut back across onto the racing line, and tidy as you like. Rizzo, mighty in the mirrors as well. Ten laps to go now for these guys. So we've seen 9 laps of fuel possible, 8 the most likely. So for Alex Court, if you're stopping now, yikes, I don't know you're making it to the end of the race on that one. Rizzo's had a dive at Hen and taken that spot just a little further back as we checked in with the leaders and what they're doing. Williams still leading. But Capel, I think as far as chess goes, the upper hand here doesn't really need to save as much fuel. Broader pit stop possibilities, broader window for him to get home. Williams has got one option, and it's, save 9 laps on one stint and run 8 on the other, take a full drop of fuel off for Capel. He could run this another 4 laps, get quite close to the end, and have a pretty short stop as well. So what is he doing behind Williams? Well, he's using 6th gear. And he's using the clutch. 200, 300 meters on the way into the chase as well. He knows what the game is. He doesn't need to pass Williams, because Williams is going to stop after 8 laps. He'll come into the pit lane, he'll fill that thing up, and if he wants to have any chance at winning, any chance at a top 5, he's going to have to make 9 laps from this next tank of fuel.
That is it's going to be a pretty bold strategy there for Williams. He was pretty much my horse that I had backed here for tonight, so whether or not he can make it work.
Quick glimpse at Luke Turner, who you might have had your money on, but that horse has had to be put down a little bit. He's fighting his way back up through the field. It's Jared Hughes. Does he get squeezed, eased across onto the grass just a little bit there? He's got his nose on the normal braking line to the inside of Sam Lehman. So he thinks Lehman's going to be all the way across there. Oh, he does get... He throws it in a little deep, but Lehman brakes a little early and eases it across just a touch. So here's Williams out of his stop on the outlap. Will have brimmed that thing on 13-ish seconds of fuel. The fact that it wasn't 14 seconds of fuel tells me that he had about half a lap still in the car when he pitted after 8. So there's sort of like 8.5 laps of fuel in it. And either you pit after 8 or you try to save that half to make it to 9. And that's what he's going to have to do this time around. So put your good listening ears on. This will be a tough stint for Williams, methinks. Stash gives less information than others do. Other ones from the spectator view actually tell you the revs, or as well as just showing you the shift lights. So another run on pit lane here. O'Shea, Fit, AM class leader Glencito Riddle, Christopher Henn. And they're going to need 8 laps to get to the end from this one. Jared Hughes, Sam Lehman. Oh, it's all a little complicated here. Got Yeaman and Lehman, but Lehman pits and Yeaman carries on in the Audi. What kind of a Christmas tree do you normally go for, Nick? We've got shift light Christmas tree in the Audi. We've got a fake one in a box in the garage that's done us about 10 years.
Yeah, between that and the activity scene. Do see a little bit sideways coming out of there for car 18. Lachlan Capel though.
Yeah, so what does Capel opt to do? He probably doesn't want to pit early to cover off his main competitor, main rival in Kobe Williams, because Williams is in some cleanish air at the moment, actually. There's a gap between Harris and O'Shea that's kind of opened up in 7th, 8th and 9th. So he could, but I imagine if you're Capel, you run this long and take the short stop deeper in the race. Here comes Flock. One of the drivers who had a good final stop in the 40-minute race at Indianapolis last round as well, and kind of came from into sort of top 5 podium contending kind of spots. This is the Ferrari power versus a Porsche. The poor thing's getting absolutely mugged here by Luke Fitt and by Aaron Cooper, and Faulkness slots his way through on Cooper.
Great run there. Or you just see the Porsche backing out of it. You can just see how much that sun's setting now as well. Almost
yellow gloves make you go faster. We all know that. On board with Faulkner.
Yeah. Just see that glare is now quite around the circuit now.
Faulkner's a bit of a what could have been, because he's been through pit lane 3 times already, and he's got to make a 4th. And Turner's been through the pit lane 3 times and is going to have to make a 4th. So they're battling each other to the end. Jared Hughes is in the final corner. So it's been adventurous for him. And that'd be Dylan Shepherd, wouldn't it? Yep. Lamborghini power versus Porsche power, and Lamborghini, okay, Porsche hops a lot of that curb and holds on.
I feel like Christopher Henn's been just a punching bag for most of the field here at the moment. Pushed him all the way down into 30th position, so, and does not look to be the end of it. I think Tim Orty there is well on his tail here.
Brake lights are on a long way past the apex of the corner. I think it's still tagged the wall with just a scrape for Orty. Rizzo in the lane, curiously after only 8 laps this time around, but maybe it's the shorter fill rather than extend the stint kind of strategy. Still Turner, Faulkner, Fit. Oh, and Fit's got too much of the grass and he's got the inside wall.
Yeah, there we go. So it spat him well and truly off to the inside.
That thing's a bit cactus. He doesn't want to turn left, so he can't flick spin it around. And so he's got a lot going on in his mirrors. He's got Faulkner thinking about attacking. It just goes wide, hops a bit of the curb, and round it goes. Ten minutes left. Still some pit stops to cover off because Capel's gone 9 laps again. He's 33.5 seconds ahead of Kobe Williams. Flock in third and has made his final stop as well. Even if Capel comes out of this stop that he's going for now, just behind Williams, which I don't think he will be. I suspect he'll be ahead, but even if he does, he's going to be fighting against a Kobe Williams who has to fuel save to 9 laps for the first time in this race, and who has no slipstream helping going on. It's Flock, O'Shea, Turner still needs one more, and Faulkner still needs one more pit stop. So I think Williams could still even be under pressure from Flock and O'Shea here. Capel through the lane, Capel out, and it's a tidy lead, much shorter final stop. And also less traffic. Here's Turner to make his final.
You'd have to say there for Turner what could have been there. Taking on that black flag, though, done a great job to try and come back as best as he can.
Rizzo in 6th. Connor Moss, Glencito Riddle. These guys have just been lumped together for the last half an hour almost. Speaks well of your AM class leader. Tim Harris will get to the end on his fuel, so he's still in 2nd in that class, like where he qualified, like where he's run almost all race. Jeffrey Wang 3rd for the AM drivers.
Yeah, it's put in a pretty consistent effort there to just outside of that top 10.
We're going to take a look at the driver's suit because it's a conventional paint outside the car for Jeffrey Wang, but inside, yeah. What's the saying? Something about his battery. We're all on top of the pop culture references. So Ben Faulkner, who was battling Turner, is going to come through the lane now for his final stop. And that's one of the last pit stops I think we're going to see. The big question marks are around Kobe Williams, Adam Funslow, and Jeffrey Wang on their fuel numbers. Williams is getting reeled in as well in that 2nd place. His last lap, 4.1, plays 3.6s from Flock and O'Shea behind. It's only 2.6, so you keep that up, and 4 laps, 6/10 is 2.4 seconds, and that's the gap between them. And he made even more on some previous laps as well.
I have to say that I wasn't really too sure if it was or as we did see.
So your overall leader, Lachlan Capel, there's a bit more damage on that because Stephen Tonkin, was it?
Yeah, we did see old Porsche out in behind.
So is this your race leader and your AM points leader? What happens at the elbow? Well, that's a little offline already for Capel, but he arrives on the scene. Yeah, okay. Did he hit it?
Yeah, it did look like he clipped his front end. Oh, I just see that Porsche.
Yeah. Wow, okay. That's a hit. Capel's got 3 more laps. He's got 7 seconds in his pocket. But he's losing it. Well, for him, there was already a bit of a pop to the bonnet on the right-hand side. Here's Faulkner and Turner back at it again. Bit of a lap apart. Game's on again. It's Flock still taking time out of Kobe Williams. He is, but not as much. But realistically, we know the power that the Lamborghini has got. He wants to get it within a second, and the rest is all in the slipstream, all in the draft.
You actually see Williams just really isn't pulling in Capel too much. It still seems to be hovering around that 7.5 second mark at the moment. Whether or not it's the actual down that Conrod straight where that time's made up, still hovering about 7.3 seconds. So Williams not really taking too much of a chunk out, considering they really only have about just over a couple of laps left.
Watson being closed and quickly by Luke Turner and Ben Faulkner. He's got the same brake trace we were pointing out earlier as well. It's an Audi thing. Beamer on the attack with the speed. Move done quickly. Faulkner next to try to line him up. Swap to the inside. It'll be a tight pinch at the apex. It will be. And Watson half spins it into the gravel. Will get it out and get it going.
Does look for the moment there Capel holding on, so it's actually Williams losing a little bit of time there. Sebastian Flock not really gaining too much either, so our top 3 still remaining quite consistent.
Well, it will be 1 lap to go at the end of this one, and that's where we'll see what Kobe Williams has got. Whether he's about to pit, whether he'll make the 9 laps, what kind of pace he'll have to the end of the race. Capel leads the way, still 7.5 seconds. Front of that car has been better, but it's holding up for him.
Yeah, you can just see how physically big that gap is. You just see Kobe Williams there coming over the crest. Barney there with the white flag. So one more lap.
Here's Williams going for 9. Right-hand side tyres in the grass. Okay. Got Tonkin between himself and Flock. O'Shea. Rizzo, one of the big movers in this one. He's running 5th. Started 15th, so 10 positions gained. The only bigger move is his overall stakes is Adam Funslow started 26th and runs 14 for 12 places. Good performance from some of our top AM drivers as well, because we've seen them at other races and in other formats struggle to break into the top 10 overall. But Cito Riddle qualified up there, has run up there all race, and in fact, he's now up into the 7th overall as well, and Tim Harris in 11th in the overall for 2nd in class. Final lap, last trip down the mountain, last time onto Conrod Straight for Capel. Kobe Williams picked up the pace as well on the last lap, so I wonder if he found the number and is back on the attack now, and that's going to deny Flock stealing anything away from him. Perfectly clear road in front of Lachlan Capel. There's 2 cars that had just run off the circuit in front of him, now working their way through the final corner, but he had enough in hands and he played the fuel strategy to perfection early. No one to trouble him in the final stint. Lachlan Capel grabs the win and says hi to his family at home. Williams is going to make the 2nd and Flock is going to make the 3rd.
There we go. Dylan,
how do you feel 4 manufacturers for our top 4?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely working in with that balance of parity. Great work there again. As you mentioned before there, Ross Rizzo up those 10 positions there in the 5th. So would have to say they're still not the fastest lap, but just shows how much that consistency had paid off.
Sam Lehman's been in the fence on this lap at the elbow. There's a... Oh, and there's contact in front of him. Shepherd. Oh, dear. Big fuel save. Huge coast from Jeffrey Wang. He was one of the better running AM drivers. And now it's all just gone to a basket. Final lap. Now, surely that's crossed the finish line. It's not? Oh, goodness me. What a final lap. Let's unpick just a little bit of it at the end of 60 minutes. Okay, Daniel Yeaman. Running 17th at this point, into the final corner. Gets too much of that grass on the exit. He'll be dizzy after that. Do the chopper or anything? Where's the line there? Somewhere. Yeah, there. You got to get the transponder across it, I swear. He does it in 20th overall. Only there's where he crosses the line officially. Okay.
They've obviously zip-tied the transponder to the back of the car, so maybe they'll have to work on that next time around.
So, Jeffrey Wang in front of him is doing a 9-lap run here. And I think he's on fumes. Just watch. Oh, Shepherd gets into Lehman there in the braking zone. Somehow those walls are mighty, mighty soft. I think Shepherd's looking to redress it here, is he? But in the meantime... Is that Richard Brookfield who sneaks through? Tim Baker, okay. Baker loses himself in turn Wang.
Just check out that wheel work there on the rejoin. And those two almost thought that Mercedes was going to lose it. Coming out of the chase, and we did see that that struck Audi there as well.
Well, it rarely ever turns out a boring race, and it always puts on a challenge. Mount Panorama Bathurst. It looked for all the world like it was Luke Turner's race, and it looked for all the world like it was Kobe Williams' race. But Lachlan Capel comes away with the win in the end from Williams, from Flock, and O'Shea, Rizzo keeping some of his championship hopes alive. Not a bad result then overall for Kenny Konomos as well, who gains some positions, 8 of them over the course of the race. Glenn Riddle takes that AM class win, and he was right up there all race long on the strategy, mixing it with cars that he's not scored with, but that he had to race out on track. And then the top 10 is completed by Christopher Henn, Timothy Audi, and Shu Kang. Tim Harris for second in AM class. Luke Turner, Ben Faulkner, highest placed cars that made 4 stops. Not the optimal strategy, but there they are. Funslow, Fitt, Cooper, Brad Watson, Richard Brookfield, and Dylan Shepherd looks like he gets 3rd in class. Daniel Yeaman eventually got that snail across the checkered flag.
We did see Jordan Peter there outside the top 20. Jared Hughes, Tom Wilkinson, good run there in the Pro-Am class. Jeffrey Wang, John Merritt, Dale Carpenter, Alex Court, Tony Baker, Brandon Grove, and Sam Lehman there. We did see in that incident all the way on the last lap. Tyson Broad, Harry Lawrence, Stephen Tonkin, Jordan Ferguson, Gustav Cirillo, and then we did see quite a few cars DNF there with Ryan Casher, Brady Buchanan, Adam Jepson, Derek Orty, and Ben Jeffrey there in the 40th position. I think we also have Matthew Johnson and Joshua Field.
2 cars that sustained some pretty big damage around Mount Panorama. It'll happen, the walls are close, and that's why victory here is ever the sweeter, because for a handful of drivers it looked like the race victory could be theirs. It fell away from them. And we've got some of them now, so I'm going to grab our 3rd place finisher. And here he is, best placed of the Lamborghinis. How did you find the balance of performance, Seb Flock?
It was pretty good towards the Lambo. I mean, we had like 99.5% engine power, which really helped down the straights, but the Lambo wanted to do Lambo things across the top, especially through McPhillamy, so it sort of evened it out a bit, but yeah, it was really nice to drive.
Well, what about the strategy then in the 3-stop race? Did you have something in mind at the start of the race, and did you follow through with it or have to change on the fly?
Initially I was going to try and fuel save behind Lachlan, Kobe, all of them, try and get a couple extra laps, but I was just losing too much time, so I just thought go full pelt, see what happens, and yeah, worked out in the end. Got a good gap on Dylan.
There are a couple of cars that looked a handful to drive in places, but we end up with 2 Lamborghinis inside of the top 10. There's a few people fancying a change of car at this point in the championship. Are you amongst them?
Nah, I'm going to stick to the Lambo. I set my goal at the start of the season just to stick it out regardless, because it's probably one of the sort of less popular cars at the moment. Everyone's going on the Porsche bandwagon, well, was at least, but yeah, it's just good to drive something different and see where we can end up at the end of the season.
Neato, well done. Look forward to seeing you in a week at Suzuka.
Yeah, cheers.
There he was, 3rd place. Sebastian Flock enjoying the extra horsepower of the Lamborghini. Nick, second place is going to be with you, Kobe Williams.
Yeah, congratulations, Kobe, on that second place. We were trying to work out what was happening there at the start. You decided to take that undercut pit strategy.
Yeah, I had a crack at a different strategy compared to everyone else that obviously didn't pay off as much as what it could have, but yeah, I just didn't feel safe. I was just going red hot all race.
Yeah, absolutely. So was it much of a preparation coming in tonight, or is it something at those speeds, something that you can just rock up and rely on that raw talent?
I did a few laps today, not a whole lot. I've been quite busy lately, so I tried to do a few laps before each race just to get my eye into the track and what the racing each week, so yeah.
I just had Jay mention, might have been balancing in between the iRacing and a bit of Call of Duty perhaps.
Yeah, definitely been playing the new one. Good game.
Yeah, nice. Well, for the rest of the season, you are really climbing that ladder there. I think we're off to, where are we off to next week there, Dave? We are at Suzuka, so should be able to get that practice in for that. Any people and sponsors you'd like to thank?
Oh, I'd just like to thank you guys for the stream, the guys at AusPass for the series, and my mates for making the race enjoyable.
Yeah, well, congratulations again, Kobe, on that great podium, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, cheers, thank you.
To the top step of the podium there, we find Lachlan, Capel, and I would have had you maybe third on my betting slip for the first half of that race, but a couple of things fell your way towards the end.
Yeah, look, I switched to the BMW because the Porsche I found was doing a second off lap times compared to the BMW, and looking at the calendar at the end, I just thought I need to get off the Porsche. It's just starting to die. It just doesn't have the turn that it should with the setup that Sam's got, so I made it work, and yeah, I probably wasn't the strongest car tonight, but unfortunately for Luke, dramas coming out of the pit lane meant that it was just me and Cobb and Seb, and having known that I'd been able to go the extra lap every single time, I knew that I could pretty much easily jump them both and come out with the dub.
Certainly did. Interesting explanation on the car shift. Is that based entirely on the pace here at Bathurst, and you think it could come back to bite you at some of the later rounds maybe?
I definitely did think of that. I did, when I went home from school today, I just started to do a bunch of testing, and every track I'm very good at the Nords, and I found myself a little bit off in the Porsche compared to the BMW, and BMW is a lot easier to drive. The Porsche may come back a little bit at Suzuka and Road America, just because it's got that little bit more of turn, how I kind of used to driving it because I drive it so much, but in the end, the BMW just for me just feels better than the Porsche in terms of stability, just because I'm not plowing, understeering my way through every corner. So, especially even on the lower spot, which I reckon will happen 2 weeks me being in the car, I'll just get slammed with 1% both times. So, yeah, I definitely did think about as much as I could, but in the end, it was just deciding the BMW was the better car.
Any choice words laid on in today's race at, for example, the elbow?
Yeah, look, I wasn't exactly happy with the car being parked directly in front of me in the middle of the track, but you know, unfortunately things can happen. People making mistakes and you just having to try and get around them. The car understeered a little bit and I went to the side of it and got a bit of damage, but to be honest, it wasn't too much. It didn't really affect my pace much, and I was still able to bang out good lap times at the end.
Good on you. Well done. Good haul. And we'll see you next week at Suzuka.
See you then.
Who's on the car then?
What do you mean, who's on the car?
What does it say on the car?
Yeah, right. Well, Drop Bear Motorsport for one, for quickly getting my car sorted within probably half an hour, and trying to get paints and all that sort of stuff done, and as well as to all their sponsors, Cozy Engineering, Sam Blacklock Media, Hybrid Racing Solutions and Revolution Race Gear. As well, big shout out to the guys in the Discord, Seb, Kobe, Daniel, Tom, and Tyson, all there being there to support, as well as Dylan as well for being so quick in the Porsche. I never expected a Porsche to be up there, and as well as Luke for having a good battle up the front there. So it was a fun race, and as well to you guys at SimSpeed for putting on the broadcast and that.
A pleasure. Looking forward to the rest of the season.
So,
Speaking of, that's where we're going to be this time next week at the Suzuka circuit. What a challenge that can be. Some really, really quick corners around there. We look forward to it. You'll find it here on SimSpeed TV. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're watching, and thanks so much for joining us from Mount Panorama, Bathurst. It's going to be everything from Jay Kennedy producing, Nick Skariev alongside me and myself, David Haynes. Till next week, we'll see you then.
So you do like it? Okay. I love it, yeah.
Now when you go pre-owned, you can enjoy the same feeling you get with a new Toyota. Tested and backed by Toyota.
Upgrade your car, mate. This? Yeah, no big deal.
Toyota certified. Pre-owned in a class of its own. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.